Welcome back, everybody, to the Mizzou Esports Twitch stream. I am Paladino. We've got some League of Legends going on today, and a new face, a familiar one, albeit to my right. This is Graham joining me on the desk for our series today. Graham, how you been? It's been a little while.
Yeah,
how you been?
It's been a couple of months.
Yeah?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Can't complain. I'm glad to have you here, and excited to watch some League go down here in a little bit. We've got our teams going in a draft here very, very soon. You can see it's Mizzou versus HU Storm. Some bans coming out already here in Draft Lull now. Even if there are no names, I'll give you some insight when you're behind the desk now. When they do draft in Draft Lull, if they forget to put the names up top, you can always tell which side Mizzou is on because the opposite side will ban Akshan.
That's so true.
Jim, unfortunately, will never get the Akshan. And Jim getting a lot of focus right now in the draft as the Azir goes the other way as well.
Yeah, HU Storm has definitely identified mid as a smaller champion pool, and I think they're just going to spin those first couple of bans, really targeting it, really limiting what Mizzou wants to do. So let's see how they adapt to that as the draft continues.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got some options. He's played, obviously when he came in, you look at his, profile, you see a lot of Akshan games and not a lot much else, but in competitive games that we've seen on stream and just seeing some of the VODs and things they played in scrims as well, he's got a lot of options that he plays. He even played the Ziggs like we talked about last time. You can see him reacting to getting banned out once again. Triple ban mid is pretty uncommon, especially for a team like Mizzou, who will immediately B1 the Ivern. What are your thoughts on the B1?
Yeah, very, very interesting. I expected to go definitely for something in the mid pool since getting pinched so hard with priority picks like Syndra, maybe some Ahri, still also open there as a choice. But opting for the Ivern, not quite sure what they're going for there. Probably maybe some focus mid, maybe a Lucian mid to counter that Orianna. You could also see maybe the Kog'Maw, so just getting some extra, shield supports to kind of push that comp along.
Yeah, I know that Mizzou was testing around with this Ivern in scrims the other day, and it's a very, very strong pick. It's one that for a long time, a lot of people in the scene for League of Legends were talking about, by a lot of people I mostly mean LS, were talking about how good Ivern was. But it's even more true now after those changes came in. They removed his initial passive that's now just in the game for everybody, and effectively buffed every single one of Ivern's abilities, especially Daisy. So I'm not entirely shocked to see it on B1, but it is certainly interesting. Orianna, Kai'Sa are the picks on R1, R2 for HU. We'll have to see what Mizzou goes for now. I would imagine, since they already show the Orianna, we'll pick mid here. It looks like B2 at least is the hover, and the Syndra is the one that's left in my mind of the frequent Jim picks, and it will be picked up for him as we'll wait to see what gets locked in on B3.
Yeah, HU Storm really swinging out of the gates, grabbing that Orianna on this guy. So very high pick as we're seeing in Worlds right now. Very high win rates, very strong on this current patch. Syndra, very good response. I think, you kind of take that choice there by not first picking it of, do we get Orianna or do we get Syndra? HU Storm obviously going for the Orianna here. Mizzou locking in the Syndra, but what are they going to do? They have just a couple seconds of left to make this last pick here.
That'll be the Rel for Kaden. Interesting pick. I obviously, you know me, I've always been a big Rel fan, so I'm excited to see the engaged champs coming in. I know that a lot of times when you see the Ivern in the jungle, you'll see a supportive support, shield-based support, and really stack up on not too much front to back, but just like being able to peel with shields for your carry. But some guaranteed engage with the Rel should be helpful for them as well. But HU will grab up the notorious Rel counter pick with the Alistar on R3. So we have not seen Mizzou's AD carry just yet. Also waiting on the top lane pick, but that's to be expected for Mizzou. HU not picking their jungler yet here so far. What are your thoughts on holding that jungle pick until later and picking? I mean, is Orianna just that big of a power pick? You feel like you have to pick it on R1?
Oh yeah, I think they've done a very good job so far on the red side. They've responded very well. I'm not quite sure what Mizzou's strategy is quite yet, as the draft is just really getting started. They have a lot of cards still hidden from us, while HU Storm, very obvious what they're going for. They want to pick up a jungler who can play aggressive, can play engage with them, and then just something to round out the comp in the top lane. Maybe just leave it up there, forget about it a little bit, and play around that core 4. Mizzou, not sure what they're going to do. Do you think there's any chance this Ivern is flexed out of jungle?
Well, knowing Mizzou's solo laners, no.
Yeah.
Just because I think it would be, it'd be interesting. Oh, actually, You know, I take that back. There's a chance that they put the Rel jungle in Ivern for Kaden. There's a chance that they do that, which would be interesting to see. I would love to see it, but we'll have to see if that's the choice. Nocturne is the pickup for HU now. We did see our last set of bans comes through. 280 carry bans for HU as they take away Blake's Zaya and Ezreal. 2 jungle bans for Mizzou as Jarvan and Udyr get taken out of the pool, but Nocturne is the pick for HU Storm's jungler now.
And Nocturne, a very good response to that Jarvan ban, which is what I would have personally gone for if I was HU Storm there. Definitely going to pick that up. Nocturne, great. Some map pressure, some global pressure. You know, just great follow-up with the Alistar, Kai'Sa, and Orianna. You know, secretly sneak that ball in on the on the Nocturne, and all of a sudden you're up 5. But the Tristana pick.
This is certainly a special for Blake. We know he's been playing Tristana for a long time, and it's one that he is very, very comfortable on. We're just waiting to see what this pick will be for Nick up there on the top lane. He is blind picking, which is, you know, I mean, he's got plenty of options. He has had 0 of his champs taken away here in this one so far. So we'll have to see what that default is for him in this one. But yeah, I mean, you talked about it with HU already, though. You have the Orianna with the Renekton, or excuse me, with the Renekton will be the hover for Mizzou. It will be locked in. Orianna with the Nocturne and the Kai'Sa. Alistar can follow up very easily as well. So very clear cut what HU is opting for here in this one. Mizzou's draft is a little more interesting, but I like the Renekton pick. I think Renekton is very, very strong in the meta right now. We'll see what the response will be from HU Storm. Obviously, we were talking about this a little bit before stream, that Renekton Cassante are the typical picks, but that is the new look for Jax being hovered here and locked in for HU Storm. So we've got our drafts figured out here now. Graham, what are your thoughts seeing these full team comps come to fruition here for Game 1?
HU Storm has definitely been watching Worlds. Oh, no doubt about that. All 5 picks, well, maybe except for the Nocturne, have seen play, have seen bans, have seen drafts, you know, and have had success on the world stage so far. Mizzou going for something a little bit more on the fringe. I think that Tristana Rel is very much their style. I love to see Gate on the Tristana always. I'm just curious if they can keep that Tristana alive to do enough damage through, you know, all these very oppressive dive champs that they have going on. You obviously have the Syndra too providing damage as well, but you know, it's hard. Very immobile Syndra. Does she get to play this game? Is Ivern enough to keep, you know, that heavy dive off of her? Yeah,
that is the benefit of locking in a champ like Tristana is, I mean, we've been watching Gate Blake play for a long time now, and he has a very wide champ pool when it comes to AD carries. Obviously, his most mobile ones were taken off the pool with Zaya and Ezreal already taken away, but Tristana can also be very mobile as well. So he's got some options into this very, very heavy dive comp from HU. But you mentioned it, the Syndra, not a ton of options. Obviously, you can knock some people away with your E, but besides that, it's a little tough for this immobile mage. But you're hoping, obviously, that you can live through, like you talked about, live through with the Ivern. You have some peel from your Rel or engage, and then Renekton can kind of play both parts as well, engaging or peeling for your side as well. I mean, if you're my concern going into this one is kind of what you talked about even before we saw the 4 and 5 picks for both sides, is HU Storm very clearly know what they want to accomplish. These 5 champions work together in a similar way to accomplish a similar goal, which is dive very early, play very aggressive, and get to the enemy backline if possible. Whereas Mizzou is it's not necessarily anti-dive, it's a little bit of anti-dive, but it's like some engage, and then, I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? How can Mizzou secure themselves a win here in game number 1 and go up in the series?
Yeah, this seems to be fun to watch. There's a lot of skirmishing that wants to happen, that should happen. I think Mizzou might play to get that Renekton ahead just a little bit in the early game, because Nocturne is going to be looking to get that bot lead. Maybe let bot fall a little bit behind, try to get that Rel to move just a little bit, maybe toward mid. Try to set up your solo laners and just let the Tristana chill throughout the game. And then maybe if you could just build up a big enough lead through those mid-game skirmishes and playing well early, that their dive comp doesn't have enough, you know, bang to their buck, not enough money in their wallets to slap Mizzou over, and they can get to their Nexus before the dive comp becomes too oppressive.
That's true. I think, hopefully building some sort of lead, and I would imagine the top lane would probably be the easiest place to do such a thing. I am curious. I'm always curious whenever Kai'Sa gets locked in, really in any game that I watch now, is what the Kai'Sa will build, because the Kai'Sa build has adapted so much recently. I mean, the flavor of the week now is the lethality build with Umbral, and which I don't know. I've never totally sold on really any of the Kai'Sa builds, but we'll have to see what the option will be for HU Storm. I mean, you already have plenty of magic damage coming out from the Orianna for HU, and then Jack's still doing some split damage as well. So, I mean, you got to imagine in this one, lethality is probably pretty well served, because this one, the Kaisa ult is almost certainly going to be used to dive in and follow up with
Yeah,
the
for
knockdown.
sure.
So you want to execute a target, but we will have to wait and see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It should be very, very exciting. We've got our teams drafting now inside of the actual client instead of a third party. So we will go to a short break. By the time that one is done, we will be back with game number 1 of Mizzou versus HU Esports, the Storm, here on Mizzou Esports. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We are live here at Mizzou versus the HU Storm for game number 1 of our best of 3 series. Everything came out as expected in terms of where everyone is located. We unfortunately did not get a Ivern support. Maybe another day.
Maybe
we'll
another
see it
day
in Caden's hands. But so far, nothing too spicy on either side here. Pretty much just a 5-point from both Mizzou and HU.
Yeah, let's drive our attention a little bit to the summoner spell choices. There is no heal in this game from either of the AD carries. We've opted for the Exhaust, which I think makes a lot of sense this game, and the Cleanse on the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, what I don't understand is the Exhaust on Alistar. I think Exhaust on Alistar is kind of, I don't know. I mean, as having played a decent amount of Alistar, I think it just kind of feels bad. Like, Alistar is not really a lane you want to play. I think you want to be aggressive with the Alistar. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
Yeah, I think a way to rationalize that is maybe the Kai'Sa is worried about that Renekton getting onto her in the backline.
Sure.
So sacrificing the support summoner instead of the AD carry summoner for an Exhaust to maybe shut that down just a little bit, make Arrogant's life a little bit more difficult to try to one-shot that Kai'Sa so they really keep that damage up.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also fair, you are still laning against a Tristana, and Tristana is, despite also scaling incredibly well, does have one of the strongest level 2s for an AD carry in the game. You can see Jim already just getting forced to take some poke damage here in the mid lane, but Arrogant now going to get traded with and trade back a decent amount, but still makes the HP trade about even. It is Grasp, however, for the Jax instead of the Lethal Tempo. I mean, not one you see often. I suppose it's understandable for the Jax to just
definitely a lane where you get to proc it a lot.
You do proc it a lot,
melee,
for
so
sure,
probably judging these, just a little bit more value out of that maybe in this lane, maybe trying to be just a little bit more tanky to survive some of those bursts, so you can kind of act as a pseudo front line for the team as Gate kind of goes in here.
Yeah, and immediately flashes back out, seeing that the Alistar hit level 2, and he's just going to knock Inferno 92 back up. There goes the stun, the Cleanse coming down as well, so the Kai'Sa can continue to trade aggressively. Exhaust going down onto the Kai'Sa to slow her down. Ghost Toasties is not the target. Flash forward means a kill for Maykel, and now some aggressive trading in the top lane. Nick not able to find the solo kill just yet. Flash auto doesn't find it, and the second tower shot is going to kill him. It's disaster across the rift for Mizzou. First blood going over to the enemy AD carry, and then Nick just not able to secure the kill in the top lane. Drops down to the Jax as well.
The Jax just barely surviving that auto. Very gutsy to go for that, you know. Definitely could have just forced them under his tower, pushed that wave under, maybe gone for the, treat recall yourself, spend just a little bit of gold you farmed up there. Bot lane just unfortunate. Thought he could hold the flash, didn't need to, could have burnt it, maybe lived. Just a little bit over-aggressive from Mizzou, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what the disconnect was. I mean, we saw Ghost Toasties hit level 2 and jump in immediately, and then immediately feel the need to flash back out. So it just felt, I don't know, it felt disjointed and not like what Mizzou was looking for. Sintabamochi just going to keep farming here in the mid lane. He's always going to be outranged, especially at these early levels against this Orianna, as now this Jax did just pick up a longsword, so not a ton of raw damage power here. Has some aggressive trading in the mid lane. Leaves both mid laners at about 1/3 HP, but won't result in much else.
Didn't really talk about the junglers so far this game, but Ivern opted to path down, but bot lane fought before he really got there, so both junglers just going for that full clear, taking resets, getting back onto the map to start their second clear, and probably look for some skirmishing now that these solo lanes are getting a little bit closer to level 6.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, in my mind, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this as well, just because I see a lot less Ivern, or I think his direction and the options that Ivern has aren't quite as clear. When I think of Nocturne, I'm always going to envision as the Hex Flash comes in, they're going to look for Ghost Toasties. He does not eat the stun, or will, but nice buffer means that he's plenty far away, but it's still a much favored trade for the HU bot lane. In my mind, Nocturne is always going to power farm very early and want to get to level 6 as fast as he can, whereas I think potentially Ivern has more options. Obviously, I think he gets a lot stronger when he has access to Daisy, but has some CC, and along top with that, all of his lanes have a decent amount of setup for him to come in and gank as well, but neither jungle opting to look for anything too aggressive here early. But Kites has made his way up to the top lane, but this is a scary wave down bot. Thankfully, Nocturne is not here, but they could just try for the solo dive now that Ghost Toasties, especially after tanking another W instead. The HU bot lane will just move their way on up, and Blake will farm underneath his tower and get to live for at least another couple minutes.
Yeah, HU Storm just using that pressure that they got. Alistair wandering up, maybe getting some wards in Mizzou's red jungle. Just kind of playing their time, sneaking around, trying to really wait till they can get to that wombo combo of level 6. Obviously want that Nocturne to get there. And the Orianna there, but going for a mid play.
Yeah, great flash by Jim. He had a bit of a play safe mid moment. You could see Nocturne was in the top middle brush, and then the Alistar Hex flashes from the Raptor pit, but he does have to use that flash, his only form of mobility on this Syndra, but will at the very least stay alive here after the play from the Alistar. Again, mostly just farming. Neither side has gone for an incredibly early Drake just yet, even though it is an Ocean, which usually has a decent amount of priority. We're going to see some fighting now as both top laners drop their ults. Arrogant starting to win the trade now, dashing in very aggressively. Eviscerates that wave. Remember, no flash on either of these top laners. Nick is waiting for that ECD, but I just don't think it's going to be up soon enough. Both ultimates expire. Arrogant not able to pick up the kill. The Jax is certainly going to have to recall, but will not miss a ton here, as it's just a nice hefty battle in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's definitely what top lane's all about. Yeah. Blowing both the ults to fight for that wave prio, really trying to get stuff done, you know, in this sometimes very isolated lane. But yeah, not quite a kill. Probably wasn't going to be one. Jax definitely played it a little bit more risky than he should have, but you know, good to see that we're able to get the wave back under control. As we now have almost, I think we're a camp off, a level 6 Nocturne. If I am HU Storm, I am spam pinging Syndra flash down.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that Orianna ult, you're gonna have that Nocturne ult. Let's capitalize. Let's let's get that gold moving into this comp.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are your best options. Well, I mean, flash is down for both solo laners now for Mizzou. It's coming up soon for Arrogant. I think it just came up for Ghost Toasties as well. I would not be surprised to see this Nocturne attempt to make something happen bot, especially with this wave stacking up. You already know that you are going to be a decent amount stronger. Level 5 on the Alistar, level 4 on Inferno 92. They're going to drop the cleanse. Here comes the engage now from the Alistar, but Kites has made his way in as well. Flash out from the Kites, so the exhaust going down onto Tristana. He's made his way out just for now, but it'll be Inferno 92 dropping first. Ghost Toasties manages to stay alive. This wave is still quite large. You can see the Nocturne ult coming through and securing that kill onto Kaden. And now HU is just going to walk away. It was a good response from Kites to try and help his team survive, but just could not find it, as he feels like he's got to stay back down here still to defend his AD carry.
Exactly what you called. Nocturne got that level 6 off the camp, and he instantly looked bot. It was a good read from Ben to be down there to cover, but unfortunately, Inferno just a little bit too far. You know, really wanted to try to get that Kai'Sa down after we knew the cleanse was down, but play mid. Yeah,
I mean, this is what you talked about before. You can spam ping, Syndra no flash, and Alistar just comes right back, as does Kid Beats on the Nocturne, and they make a quick play. Syndra really has no response, especially after getting hit with the shockwave, and that will be Jim's first death of the game.
Really spinning these cooldowns efficiently, HU Storm. The minute that flashes back up, Alistar is looking for an aggressive play with it. You know, not waiting for that Syndra to get flashback. Still down for a certain amount of time and has to walk back into mid lane as Nocturne ult's going to come up just slightly within that flash window down. I doubt they'll look for that play, but there's potential with those aggressive ults and that gold that you now have, and you want to try to use this to facilitate a nice mid-game transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that they can time things fairly well. Ghost Toasty's going to jump in very aggressively, knowing that this Kai'Sa's support is nowhere to be found. Walking back from base now, but just not able to find anything really that he's looking for here in this one. I mean, we know Mizzou is at a bit of a deficit now. Arrogant going to play very aggressive, knowing that Kites is right behind him. Kid Beats has made his way in here as well. Flash from both top lane, from Kites and the Jax come out, so Arrogant will be able to hold on to the Ivern flash, forcing out the flash from the Jax, but again, will not result in anything of incredible substance here in terms of kills for Mizzou so far.
I don't think it's a terrible trade if you're willing to take some more time to go up there and execute on that flash cooldown being down. Maybe try to play through your mid laner, get him out in a wave, and then dive that Jax, who's flashless with all three. Just something like that to facilitate Mizzou a way back into this game, because right now you are bleeding gold.
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly are, and need to find something to get them back in to this one. Still, no one playing for these early objectives. That's one thing that's been incredibly common at Worlds, and even more common throughout recent memory at the very least. Playing for these early Drakes has been incredibly popular, still putting a lot of strength into them as well, but neither side opting for it here quite yet, as the clock is about to go over that 11-minute mark. We're going to see some more just trading here in the top lane as the Jax looks for Arrogant, but will not find much of anything. It'll mostly just be farming here in the top lane. You can see Nick is working towards that Gore Drinker, but now could be in some trouble here. Remember, no flash on this Jax means that Nick will at least remain safe for now, and will not fall underneath his turret. He does have TP, but very, very low on this Renekton means he's going to miss at least a little bit in terms of creeps up there in the top lane.
They're very lucky for Nick there that the junglers are posturing bot lane. Both of them really want to try to get these lanes ahead, so he's not going to get punished for that slight overstay, but does have TP, get back, still gets his wave, you know, not losing much other than that TP CD. Unfortunately, bot lane objective is up, so HG Storm might look for that now that cooldown is down, but they're going in bot lane. Yeah,
Ghost Toasties needs to look for the jump out, but will find his way out of there. Arrogant going to trade very aggressively, going to dash in front of the Jax, knowing there's no ulti on him, but now they're going to look for the dive down to the bot lane. They brought 4 members here. A big ulti coming in from Inferno 92, but it's just not enough because Toasties will fall. Kid Beats is going to take down Inferno 92 as well. They're looking for more, but what a well-executed dive from HU, as the only health bar that's even remotely low is the Alistars, and he makes it out of there just fine using that ultimate. Man, and HU is playing so well around these timers down the bot lane.
HU did exactly what I told Mizzou to do. They came mid, collected the mid laner, brought him straight down to the bot lane. They said, this Tristana is dying. They do expend all of their ults for it, but definitely worth a kill and a tower, and most likely a Drake as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to imagine that's going to be the next course of action for HU. They've really accelerated this Kai'Sa now, and Orianna was already given a bit of a lead just in terms of some early farm, but picked up the kill in the mid lane as well, and managed to pick up another one on that bot lane dive. And I mean, you can just look at not only the gold in general in terms of CS, but just look at the item differences for Mizzou here in this one in terms of the bot lane, especially. Ghost Toasty still waiting on finishing that first item. Kai'Sa is sitting on quite a few now with the finished Kraken Slayer and plenty of components for the next one. And it's the Arrogant going very aggressively here. Kites is here to back him up. The stun will go through down onto the Jax. Root comes in as well. Big heal from Divine Sunderer, however, and Arrogant still looking to space this one out. No Gore Drinker active, as we're going to see some fighting in the mid lane as well. It looks both top laners are just going to walk away from each other. It looks like neither side really has lethal damage to get the kill, even when junglers are present. But instead, it'll just be Jax feeling like he's got to take a recall, and Nick going to continue to expand this bit of a CS lead he's got up here into the top lane.
Yeah, Arrogant hasn't been able to get back and actually buy that mythic item yet. So Jax with that Divine Sunder, that Grasp of the Undying, so tanky, so hard to get through that health. Definitely when we're talking about an Ivern, you know, you don't have enough burst just on that Renekton. Maybe a different jungler gets the kill there, but Ivern's just up there, you know, throwing some shields on him, hoping for the best, trying to stay out of that Jax's engage range so he doesn't fall victim. But other than that, you know, Mizzou slowly sliding just a little bit further behind. Yeah,
I mean, that's the other thing too about the Ivern is you come in with the shields, but if you play inside of Jax's range, this Jax with that finished Divine Sunderer will kill you and kill you in a hurry. As Arrogant will finally pick up that item for himself. The Gore Drinker is finished for him now. It'll be Moonstone as well for Kites' Ivern, and the Ludens picked up for Sinto Momochi on the Syndra. But both our bot laners still waiting to finish out those first items. As you can see, this Kai'Sa is getting awfully close to 2. We're still waiting for 1 for Ghost Toasties. He is down, probably be close to, 20-something CS, 22, 21 CS there in the bot lane. As both top laners will move their way down to the bot lane. Their bot lane will move up to the mid lane, and mid laners moving on up. And now it's unfortunately Sinto Momochi, and he's really got nowhere to go. He is going to get a nice knockback. He's going to flash back into his turret looking for 1, but it's Maykel's Kai'Sa that goes on a killing spree, and this Alistar is just too much to cut through. You can see he saw that he was tanking and tried to make a quick play. Ghost Toasties is not in any danger of this Jax after using that jump, but still just so rough. Everywhere Jim goes, he's being followed, and it never spells anything good for him, at least so far.
What a beautiful rotate from HU Storm. Once they got back on the map, after they spent their gold, they knew exactly where to go. They assigned, Mizzou shaked on the lanes, but Mizzou was not ready for the plan they had in store. They shoved in the mid lane, sent them up top to instantly pressure that crashing wave in top, sent the top laner from bot back to mid so he can gather that wave. So Mizzou's bot lane did not get any tower, did not get much done, whilst they just dove Syndra. Syndra's gone. Yeah. And just like that, their lead grows ever bigger.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. They're really playing very, very well around the timers that they have. And not only are they making very proactive plays, they're not missing anything. I mean, you talked about moving people down to the mid lane to collect waves, moving your top laner up, moving your top laner down, punishing on the crashing wave in the top lane to take Sentamomochi to his second death. They're just playing around these timers that they have so well, and it feels really difficult for Mizzou to really have any time to breathe. As Arrogant is going to eat the Kai'Sa ult. One auto does not get the kill. He manages to stay alive, at least for the moment. He was holding this massive wave for a long time down here, trying to make sure that HU is going to miss as much as possible. As now we can see Inferno 92 is looking for something here. As a big flash play with a nice Magnet Storm, looking for something. Ghost Toasty's trying to get the first kill. They're looking for the Kai'Sa, but will not find it. The Ignite does not get the job done. They're looking for this Alistar, who is all alone. Flashes away, but manages to stay alive. The shield coming in. Big shockwave will do more. And only just dispel Mizzou. It does not mean to turn back onto them. Lots of low health bars on their side, and plenty on the side of HU as well, but no one can find a kill. And unfortunately for Mizzou, that might have been their best angle, and they're just really not able to find anything out of it.
Yeah, props to Mizzou. That is the exact right play there. You're behind. You need to find a way back in. You see maybe an engage angle, and you full commit it. You blow the TP. You blow all of your ults to try to get it done. Unfortunately, HU wallets are just big enough to sneak out of that fight. Well played as well. And Mizzou, once again, needs to look for something where they can scrape the bottom of the barrel and maybe get a little bit of gold back.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to find something. Arrogant is looking for that something right now, as Ghost Toasties is here to follow up as well. No flash, or no, excuse me, Jax does have the flash and will flash on over the wall. The Jax ultimate keeping him alive as well. Kites is going to land a root onto the Alistar, and Arrogant's going in very deep here, looking for the Jax. Unfortunately, he's met with a Nocturne, and he's looking for more, but cannot find any. Arrogant taken fairly low, but manages to stay alive, but it'll be Pain Shells Orianna that goes on a killing spree. Ghost Toasties falling early in that fight as well. Mizzou just does not have the damage for these fights. Very, very unfortunate, as the big shockwave will take Kites down very, very low. He manages to stay alive with the shield coming in now, as Orianna flashes forward, secures the kill. Pain Shell now on a rampage. 4 kills for the HU Storm mid laner. I mean, it's just big leads across all solo lanes, really all lanes in general, and even in the jungle, a decent sizable lead as well. And Mizzou's deficit continues to grow.
Yeah, just a little bit greedy there from the Ivern. Really trying to sneak in a little bit more gold than he can. Was amply punished by the Orianna. Gotta do what you gotta do. You know, you need some way back into this game, so taking a risk is definitely the way to go. Very smart to move up into their blue jungle, try to capitalize on that Jax overstaying slightly past his team. Unfortunately, his team is back on the map, so they're able to, crowd around him and protect him, and then turn it back to some, punish Mizzou for that over-aggression. But, I mean, if you're Mizzou, that's what you gotta do. You gotta look for this Jax on the side lane, commit all 5, scrape some gold back, get some shutdown bounties, get money on that Syndra, on that Tristana, try to find a way back into this game, or they're going to be knocking under Nexus.
Yeah, you've got to find something, and there's plenty of gold to be claimed. No tier 1 has been taken, no kills have been claimed either by Mizzou, with nearly every member except for the Nocturne and the Alistar having a shutdown. You have options in terms of trying to recuperate some gold. It's just a matter of collecting it. I believe it is a Hextech Drake. It's funny, all of the icons showed Ocean. First Drake, second Drake, and now Hextech Drake have all shown Ocean Drake. But it is Hextech here in this one. Always one of my favorites to see. It makes the games very, very exciting and does allow for some more options, honestly, for both sides. But if you're Mizzou, you know that Baron is going to be in the eyes of HU. You can see both supports hovering around this now, looking for something. As Sentamomochi going to try to clear out a ward, immediately stuns the Alistar. There comes the Nocturne. They're just going to turn the focus onto Kites. He can't really play the game. Flash forward. They will not find it. Make Hell will claim that one. 4 kills now on this Kai'Sa. And with everyone still full HP and now the enemy jungler dead, HU is going to immediately turn their eyes onto the Baron, and Mizzou knows that this one is gone. Both solo laners will farm in the side lanes on the Rift, while the bot lane for Mizzou tries to push something out and get something in the mid lane, but even then, it's still really hard for them to grab anything they're looking for.
Just the lack of information really going to that jungle blind as Kai'Sa's looking for something.
Immediately, Maykel blows the cleanse, looking for the kill with that killer instinct, but not able to find it as Jim will hold on to his flash. But still, I mean, this lead, it's grown over 10,000 now, almost over 11,000 for HU.
And Mizzou really back against the ropes. Pretty down, maybe not quite out yet, but it's definitely starting to look that way as Oriana engages, and that's another dead jungler.
Kites will die immediately, and Inferno 92 is forced to jump away. Not a great feeling as the Rel. Arrogant is on a pretty nasty flank here, but he's in a 1 versus 5. There comes the point of the counter pick. Pain Shell is going to grab one. The Alistar claims his first kill of the game. They'll turn their focus onto Ghost Toasties. They're not going to find it yet as the exhaust comes down, but Maykel claims the kill. Momochi has managed to stay alive, flashes away from the Alistar to remain the only man standing for Mizzou. But it's 15-0 in terms of kills in favor of the HU Storm, and it has been a rough one throughout for the Tigers.
Flanks do not work if they see you coming.
Yeah.
So much vision control on this
Well, there's
map.
an instant TP from the Jax as soon as he will show
It's
it.
very, very difficult to do anything in Mizzou's position. You are behind. It's probably time to start thinking about what do we do in game 2.
Yeah.
Are you taking blue side again? How do we adjust our draft? What changes do we want to make to get a win in the next game? Because if not, the series is over, you're done. You've lost. So it's kind of thinking, do we want to pick that Ivern again? I think personally the answer is no. You need to look to some of these stronger picks. Maybe some different play styles. I'd love to see some more aggression, some more skirmishing, because if you're just going to let them play 5v5 league, HU Storm is very good at it. So you need to find a way to shake that plan up.
We can see the Alistar going for the engage now on to Inferno 92. Not going to find anything just yet, but with the Jax subsequenting the damage, it'll be Maykel going dominating. They're looking for more as Kites will fall. Pain Shell gets another one. That's another for the Kaisa. Make it 2. Most likely going to make it 3. Flash forward comes in from the Kaisa. Kid Beats gets the kill. The flash forward from the Alistar won't find anything. Momochi will manage to stay alive. However, once again, he's the only man left standing. And Mizzou, I think this one will most likely just be over. They've got a wave here in the mid lane. Let's see, the first to come up is Caden, spawning in now, as it'll be Kites in 4 seconds. Inferno 92 finds a decent engage. There's just no one there to follow up with him. Both of the tower plates, or excuse me, the Nexus turrets will fall and make it the Nexus to fall as well. 20-0. I think this is the first time I've seen this in my casting career. On either side, Mizzou has been perfect gamed in game number 1. No kills, no turrets, no objectives for
nothing.
the Tigers. A whole lot of nothing. Big goose egg for Mizzou, and that's not really what you're hoping for in game 1 of a series.
Yeah, if you're Mizzou here, shake it off. Brush it off. Forget about it. It didn't happen. Go into game 2. Have a strong plan. Let's change something in draft. Let's make it work. Let's get out there. Let's shake up the game a little bit. We got to do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Obviously, game 1, it didn't work. That doesn't matter. You have lots of options. Mizzou has different varieties of things they can play towards, different options for them. I would imagine they also probably go red side and give yourself some more opportunities. You know that a lot of the power picks were given over to red side anyways, so you have options there as well, and hopefully get some more counter picks to get lanes more your favored. But yeah, that's game number 1. Mizzou versus HU Storm. Not going the Tigers' way, unfortunately, but I'm sure it'll be a different story for game number 2. We'll be back after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to the Mizzou Esports Twitch stream. We've got League of Legends tonight as our league team faces off against the HU Storm Esports squad. Unfortunately, in this best of 3, Mizzou has already dropped one, getting perfect gamed in game number 1. Not something you want to see,
Yikes.
but it's all right. We're going to be jumping into draft for game number 2 right about now. You can see Akshan and Ziggs already taken off the board once again by the HU Storm, and the Ivern is going to be banned away this time by Mizzou.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just a little bit out of the loop on that, but Mizzou has very high prio on this Ivern pick, getting it out of the way early. LeBlanc, very much sense. The Akshan courtesy ban. Mid lane, always going to pull that one. The Ziggs as well, one of his favorites. And this time, deciding to ban the Riven.
Yeah, I mean, Nick did bring out the Riven last week as a counter pick, and it looked pretty good. And, of course, Nick has been playing Riven for a long, long time. But we'll have to wait and see, what things will pan out to be here in game number 2. Orianna, I think, was a pretty big problem in the mid lane last time. It's just a very strong power pick, so getting it off the board looks pretty good. We'll have to see what HU Storm wants to pick up on B1. I mean, you gotta think it's probably Kai'Sa again.
Kai'Sa, Syndra, both very strong and good ways to start. You could also start with your jungler if you don't want to show too many of your cards. But there's so many strong picks up right now. I'm definitely looking toward one of those to come in for HU Storm, really abusing that blue side prio.
Yeah, most definitely. They're going to pick up the Rel, which to my knowledge still is a flex pick. You can throw it in the jungle, can throw it in the support role. We just see it in the support role a little more frequently these days. We'll see what Mizzou responds with. I would imagine it'll probably be, with so many mid lane bans coming in, I would imagine it's bot lane plus mid lane here for him in first rotation, but there's arguments for other options as well. Poppy is the hover. Poppy is in a pretty good state right now and will be locked in. I'm curious your thoughts on if this is a flex pick for Mizzou as well, if this could go support.
It's definitely a flex. I love the Poppy pick. Not only myself, but Casual raging about this pick. It's very, very, very strong. Shuts down a lot of the just meta champions right now. Obviously, the Rel showing up. Ahri, a lot of junglers right now, very countered by something like the Poppy. So picking that up early, great response to wherever Rel shows up, or if you want to flex that support, just very many options. But the Maokai to follow that up.
One is going one place, one is going the other.
Sure.
Yeah, one of those champs is going support, one of them is going jungle. It's just a matter of which is which. I don't know which I would prefer to have which. I think Maokai is probably... I think Maokai does better with gold than Poppy does, maybe? And so Poppy needs less gold to be a little bit more effective, so you could argue for Poppy support, but we'll see what the option is. Rumble is one that was picking up a lot of steam in terms of prevalence in a lot of regions towards the end of the summer split, and it will be picked up here for the Storm, and it is one that people have tried to find counterpicks to and has been pretty difficult for a lot of people across the Rift. It will be Syndra, however, locked in, so both solo laners picked up for the HU Storm. And one thing I'm already noticing for them is that is a ton of magic damage.
Yeah, lots of magic damage. Rumble, a very, very strong pick. You're just sitting in front of those tanks, burning their faces off with that flamethrower, and also have some backline access with that ultimate. So very well paired with something like the Rel, who wants to get in there and get the job done, and then Syndra, who can kind of peel for herself a little bit and provide some more pressure for that team to move forward, and Mizzou responding with Kale as their Rumble counter.
Yeah, I think it's either... so here's the secret tech. So it could be Nyx Kale, most definitely, in the top lane, but our main man there, Jimbo Slice, is also a big Kale fan. He also does play a decent amount of Kale. Now, the style of Kale he plays is not my favorite, as he does go electrocute full AP Kale, but it could be going mid. I don't imagine it would be great into Syndra, but also could go top as well, but does give you some scaling. Mizzou is going to hold their bot lane picks all the way until the end, matching with the Storm. I would imagine, unless this Rel does go support and they decide to pick this jungle later on, but Mizzou's still not showing anything by picking this Poppy and this Maokai R1, R2.
Cards are definitely hidden both sides. Both sides very much picking up lots of flexes.
Yeah.
Obviously, that Rumble could not, it could end up in jungle.
Rumble jungle, yeah, that's true.
It's even seen some mid play nowadays. Very high focus on those AD carry bans. Very curious what Mizzou's going to go here, but there it is. Are they going to lock it in?
Yeah, this is one that has been talked about a lot internally within Mizzou and really with a lot of people, because these new Jinx buffs, there's some everybody's favorite website Reddit videos of some pretty insane stacking on that attack speed with that new passive, or not new, but just allowing it to stack. But and it also is one of the favorites of Blake, but it is going to get counterpicked with this Aphelios. Now the question is if this Rel is going into the support role or not. They're going to have to show here soon enough. Mizzou still with options. If this Kale wants to go mid, they could pick something for Nick. As it will be Rel in the support role. Viego picked up in the jungle now for them. Aphelios Rel is not a terrible lane. Usually, I mean, the stereotypical pairing is that Aphelios Thresh, but nobody really plays Thresh anymore.
Yeah, definitely Thresh tapped down by some of those nerfs. Yeah. Feeling it just a little bit too hard. The Rel, very good first pick. You know, not showing your cards, very strong champion, and despite maybe not providing what you would expect as peel for Aphelios, definitely still a strong option as Mizzou hovers the Galio.
Galio would be an interesting pick. It is going to get locked in now here for Jim. So it will be Kale piloted by Nick here. And Galio for Jim. I don't know how much Galio he's played, but he has been playing since Season 1, so I imagine he's played the champ at least a couple times here in this one. But there are still some questions. I mean, still left to be unanswered. We'll have to wait until we get into really the actual game before we know for sure. But I'll ask your prediction first. Which goes which? Is Poppy going jungler support? Is Maokai going jungler support?
If I'm the one making the call, I'm taking that Poppy in the support lane. Want to really put it in front of that Rel. That's going to be probably where she gets the most value. Not really doing much to the other champions in terms of her W interaction, as Viego is unstoppable during his major dash that you really want to peel from. Yeah. So putting that into the support role, I think Poppy support's very functional. Something I've played a decent amount and has seen just a little bit of time on the international stage, but just a strong champion in general, and getting some gold on that Maokai too in the jungle and allowing him to move around and help the team, probably just a little bit more effective than Poppy.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think the Poppy going into the support role would be the strongest place for it, just because, I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. The only real interaction Poppy has this game with the W is against that Rel. But is very, very strong. I can tell you, having played many games of Rel in my life, that playing against the Poppy does not feel very fun. So
definitely not.
We will have to wait and see, find out where things are going, because only time will tell, and see where this one gets locked in. But I still think Maokai jungle is very, very strong, allows for lots of options. The only thing that I'm a little weary of is this Maokai jungle, at least what we've seen it on the world stage, especially like even in that first series of worlds a couple days ago. One of the big strengths of Maokai jungle is the strength he has to gank really, really early. So Maokai can flash W in mid lane of the game I watched, game number 1 of worlds, because the world qualifying series didn't happen, of course. But we saw the Maokai, he has a lot of strength in the early game. Obviously, he has really, really strong when it comes to objective control with the saplings and the ultimate as well. But there aren't a ton of options for the Maokai in this one, especially not your solo lanes. I mean, Galio has some strength into the Syndra, especially immobile, but it's not very easy to... I don't know, there's no mid laner or there's no solo laner you really want to snowball and really can effectively at early levels if you're this Maokai.
Yeah, Mizzou is definitely looking towards that late game objective. Yeah. You know, they really want to get that Jinx scaled, get 3 items, get kill items, get money, try to just survive some of this early onslaught that'll be, you know, applied by moving that Cinder around, maybe that Rumble ult, you know, that Rel. But I believe if Mizzou can kind of reach those penultimate items, really get big, get those level 16s online, we could see a Mizzou win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kale is always going to be strong. When Kale hits level 16, there is no doubting that that character is quite strong. And there's options. Jinx 3 items. It doesn't matter how often this champ gets, you know, nerfed or buffed. Jinx 3 items is always going to be Jinx 3 items. You've got some good engage and some really good peel as well with the Maokai and the Poppy and the Galio, of course. Always going to be very good, either for engage or anti-dive on the opposite side for the HU Storm. Galio, an interesting pick. I'm excited to see how this one will be piloted by Jim in our second game of the day. Remember, game number 1 did not go as intended for Mizzou, dropping that one in unfortunate fashion. But now is game number 2. Mizzou needs to win this one to stay alive here in our series against the HU Storm. But first, we'll have to go to a quick break to get through this spectator delay. When we're back, game number 2, Mizzou versus HU Storm. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We are back. Game number 2 is set to get started, and our questions have been answered. Graham, it is the Maokai in the jungle. With that phase rush, opting for that one here in this one, so I would imagine it'll be more of a tanky setup for this Maokai, which is kind of what we need on the side of Mizzou, and it is Glacial Augments for Inferno 92's Poppy support. You said you have some more experience playing some Poppy support. I haven't played. I played it maybe once or twice, and I think the last time I played it was before Glacial Augment worked the way it does. Do you think Glacial is the keystone of choice, or are you thinking something else? Because I was thinking more of like a phase rush potentially. Aftershock is a little easier to play.
Yeah, so Poppy support, very flexible in what you can do. You can get away with a lot of different builds. Aftershock, if you want something a little bit more tanky to maybe live in that front line longer. Glacial Augment helps you, get to those players, lock them down a little bit more, as well as providing just a little bit of extra protection for your AD carry. Yeah. You can also look to something like Phase Rush if you really need to access their backline, as well as even seeing Lethality electrocute Poppy support, and it working just from some of her natural bursts.
Oh, yeah.
So she's definitely very many options you can go on that Poppy support, but Glacial makes sense in this game.
Yeah, I like it as well. I think it's just one of those, there's a lot of characters in League of Legends in our current day and age that don't have a ton of options when it comes to keystones, but Poppy is certainly one of them. One of the things that, in my eyes, would appear to be a mistake, or I think something that Mizzou could easily take advantage of, is Flash Ghost Aphelios. No cleanse, no heal. I think when you have Maokai, Galio, and Poppy, you have lots of options for trying to target the backline for HU Storm, but Ghost Tosis and Inferno 92 have been forced to give away the push, so are not going to be level 2 just yet. We'll pick it up here very, very soon. But the big wave still crashing in to that side. And you can see there's the interaction. Inferno 92 with that W just does not allow the Rel to play the game.
Very much why I predicted the Poppy would be going to that lane. Just quick shutdown on the level 2 from the Rel. Nothing really happening. Just back to farming lanes. I'm so happy to see Ghost Toasties once again.
Of course.
On that Jinx pick. It's very nice to see him on something comfortable, and I hope he can get stuff done with it this game.
Yeah, it's a classic. One of the things that I'm noticing, I'm going to try this out and see if this works here, is the choice from Arrogant. We've got Ignite. That's not a very good circle, but we've got Ignite instead of TP on this Kayle. I don't necessarily hate the decision, but I think it can very easily be punished. You got to imagine, think about it in your own solo queue games, right? When you see a Kayle, if you're playing jungle or you're playing a champ who can roam a lot, you don't want to give the Kayle a free lane. You never want to give Kayle a farming lane where she can just get levels and get a bunch of gold. So a lot of the times the Kayle draws a lot of pressure into the top lane. And in a more coordinated setting, that has a chance to not only continue to be true, but be heightened. So we'll have to see Nick play very mechanically well here in this one. A nice W land. I saw Kites make his way down in there and drop a ward for himself, but there's a ward in that river brush there on the opposite side for HU. So no early action like we saw in game number 1, which is probably good considering it didn't go our way last time. But now we'll see the opposite position here in the bot lane as Mizzou will have the larger wave and get to push this one in to the side of HU Storm.
Just scaling. That's the name of the game. Maokai really just wants to be there to protect his team from any advances that the Viego attempts to make. So really, finding him, locking, and kind of mirror pathing him or being where he needs to be at the right time just to keep this team alive, specifically the Jinx alive, so you can get her into that late game. Kayle without TP, definitely playing for lane, definitely an Arrogant style some spell there, but if he plans around and works with his team, you can navigate being down a singular teleport. Definitely with another global ult in the shape of Galio. Have some map pressure as they make a little bit of an advanced mid.
You can see the engage coming in now from the Rel. The Aphelios is the one who popped that Ghost, and both Ghost Toasties and Inferno 92 will hold on to both their summoner spells. So a decent trade. I think it's a bit of a health advantage for the Aphelios. It certainly is, as Ghost Toasties is about 3/4 HP. But no summoner spells expended. Does feel pretty nice as Arrogant is taking a rough trade here, facing the wrath of this Rumble. as flash forward, Nick going to flash on away, but the Flame Spitter back up again. I think Nick dropped the flash and the ignite, but the tower shot does not kill the Rumble. It's a first blood. He loses both summoner spells, and now take a peek towards the bot lane. Inferno 92, no access to the W. He will get a stun off, but it'll be Kid Beats, the jungler, picking up that kill for HU, and unfortunately, it's a similar story as game number one. Yeah, it's deja vu all over again, as it's a kill in the top lane and a kill in the bot lane for the Storm.
Over aggressive, trying to get that wave in so he can get a recall, and Rumble knowing exactly how much damage he had.
Yep.
Able to execute that kill, knock her out, and luckily survived that tower shot. Just barely ignite, not enough to take him down. And then very good coordination from the bot lane and the jungler of the side of HU, waiting until Poppy had already blown that W, so Viego could just sneak on in there and get the stun off regardless, and claim some easy gold on that Poppy.
Yeah, it certainly was easy gold, as Inferno 92 does fall down there in the bot lane, but still, it is a small but decent lead here for the side of HU throughout game number 2 so far. It is a big CS lead in the mid lane, but kind of to be expected in the range versus melee matchup. Thankfully, if you're Ghost Toasties, you're still even in CS. That's kind of the name of the game. You stay even, maybe you can eventually get something done with your Rumble, or excuse me, with your Maokai into the bot lane. Have Galio show up as well. But still, lots of things that need to go right for Mizzou to not have a similar story as game number 1.
Jinx can really snowball if she can get into some of these fights, you know, get that passive proc and really take over with that extra attack speed. But you got to get there. You got to keep her alive. You got to get her some money in her pockets so she has enough gold to get that stuff moving. So hopefully Mizzou can slow down the bleeding a little bit here, maybe play safe, maybe give up just a little bit early, play a little bit less aggressive so that they're still on more even footing when it comes around to that time where they can really shine with the comp that they've chosen to draft.
Yeah, most definitely. Inferno 92 is going to tank the stun from the Realm, but be just fine after the fact. These Aphelios guns are quite good, and both AD carries on practically even footing, just a pair of boots in favor of the Aphelios. But now just look across the Rift. It's even CS in the bot lane, a lead for the HU mid laner and the Mizzou top laner, and then a big lead for the HU jungler as well. He was able to sneak away some camps from Kites, and Kites, like I said, I mean, one of the strengths of Maokai being able to, you know, jump in early with the flash W. You really don't have that option here. In this one, you could potentially look now that your Kayle has a little bit more setup, and then Galio also with a decent amount of setup in the mid lane, but not a ton of damage, and really hard to get on top of the Syndra easily. It's just not a ton of options for this Maokai so far.
Yeah, not enough damage to really want to commit, you know, summoner spells to try to look for those kills on those solo lanes. And unfortunately, Maokai farming just a little bit slower than that Viego, so that Viego is just naturally going to have a lead, even if, you know, nothing gets done on the map necessarily. And that's going to, you know, pose problems for Mizzou come 14 minutes in that mid game where Viego's strong. He's got that first item and can really, you know, turn some team fights.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Thankfully, Maokai's itemization is fairly cheap, whereas Viego's going to opt for something more like a Trinity Force, which is a little bit more expensive, but still not easy. You can see that's the trading pattern. Mochi attempts to get something in there in the mid lane, but as long as Syndra holds that stun for when the Galio attempts to dive in, there's not a lot of options for him there. Mizzou still looking for something across the Rift. You can see pretty much just farming across all of our lanes. Nick has lost a bit of his lead up there in the top lane in terms of CS, but still a decent enough gap between the two. He's picked up plenty of attack speed for him now, and of course hitting level 6 a few minutes ago gives him some options as well that don't require him to eat all of the Flame Spitter damage from the Rumble, but still going to be a long time before this Kayle is truly online.
So once again, we're just staking out, you know, grab some popcorn. This is going to be a long game if Mizzou is going to see the end of it and see the enemy's Nexus fall. But as you see, just trading patterns, Maokai exactly where he needs to be, but Syndra's here.
Yeah, I mean, he's just dead so quickly. There comes a big Aphelios ultimate. Flash Root comes in from the enemy jungler as Pain Shell picks up 1, make it 2. And I mean, it's like we already said it once. It's deja vu all over again, as Pain Shells, Syndra, along with Kid Beats make their way to the bot lane and successfully achieve this dive. And now this Syndra and this Viego have really snowballed. Arrogant looking for something in the top lane, but cannot quite find it. I mean, it feels pretty bad when one of the main strengths we've talked about with this Maokai is the access to that flash W, and the first person that uses it is the Viego when he has the soul of the Maokai. And especially using it to execute a dive so well does seem quite unfortunate. A TP is going to come in, and Arrogant going to stay a little longer than expected up there in the top lane as the first Drake will be picked up as well. Pain Shell flashes out the other direction. There comes the multi ultimate down now. Remember, no flash now on this Syndra. Gonna need to land some more CC onto this Syndra, and that will be a kill secured. So Sinto Momochi picks up Mizzou's first kill of the series.
No more perfect game.
No
they
more
finally find
game.
one. HU just so good in these set plays, so they can really move that mid laner down and find those dives. Mizzou needs to find a way to disrupt this as Ghost Toasties is in some trouble.
Yeah, he's got the traps down, but this purple gun for Aphelios, and he is dying so quickly. No root available for this Aphelios just yet, but permanently slowed is Inferno 92, waiting on the cooldowns from the Rel. There goes the flip. Here comes the kill. It's 2 more for Aphelios, his first 2 of the game. We saw Mikel get incredibly strong on the Kai'Sa in game number 1, and it's looking like that book is writing itself once more.
Yeah, already able to find that bot tower. So much golden plates on that Aphelios. When you're willing to commit the jungler and the mid laner down there after pushing that wave. It's super unfortunate, but now that AD carry probably sitting at 1k gold up above this Jinx, and that's just not where you want to be if you're Mizzou.
It certainly is not. It's been certainly a rough one. Game number 1 was very, very tough for the Tigers. Game 2 starting to spell out a similar story, but not quite as rough quite yet. So you can see that, I mean, Ghost Toasties is certainly still well behind the curve of this Aphelios, but maybe not as much as he was in game number 1. Arrogant is certainly still a win condition for Mizzou. If you can play slow, hemorrhage the bleeding, stop things as best as you can. Let your Kayle hit level 16. Unfortunately, Kayle is still waiting for that level 11 breakpoint, which at least makes him a little bit stronger. He's opting for that Riftmaker build. You can see Inferno 92 making his way all the way up to the top, as HU is going to move their bot lane back into the top lane and still have 2 minutes to get this Aphelios even more plates, as now Inferno 92 could be in some trouble, but will make it out just fine. Thankfully for Mizzou, Ghost Toasties did eat some plates down there in the bot lane, which recuperates some of that gold loss, but now it's White Gun Aphelios, and he is going to rip through this turret.
Once again, we've seen this play before, rotating in that mid game on those recall timers. All 5 go back to base, and they start moving into the top jungle, and there's just so much threat. Mizzou just cannot afford to be here, as the Puppy is probably going to fall.
Yeah, Inferno 92 manages to stay alive for a long time. It's a big knockup. I mean, again, it's lots of CC, but no damage. There's no one there to lay anything down onto the HU side, even when it is a big knockup into a double root from that Everfrost. But, I mean, you can see Ghost Toasties has not been able to leave the bot lane, still has not finished an item, and Arrogant is getting stronger, now level 10. He's going to immediately drop the Ignite, and he's just getting shredded by this Rumble. He's going to flash away, get ignited in the process, trying to dodge as many spells as he can, but Pain Shell will tell a different story. It's another double kill for the Syndra, and this gold lead is continuing to balloon for HU Esports. Now 10-1 is the kill total alone. This Aphelios picked up, I want to say it was 9 plates solo, green ult coming down. It's not going to find the kill just yet, and it's going to be the flash out of Sinto Momochi. I mean, that's a 1v1 against the mid laner against the AD carry. You can tell just how far ahead this Aphelios is.
Yeah, really using that plate gold wisely, using their pressure to just feed that all into their Aphelios. They're really just the turret in the back line, kind of the glass cannon.
Yeah.
They don't need to protect him if he's doing that much damage, though, right? So Mizzou, definitely an uphill battle for the rest of this game, but they need to find a way to slow them down as we transition from this mid game to this late game, so they can get that Jinx, get that Kayle online, so they can do something to combat this very, very strong HU Storm.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think if you're Mizzou, honestly, in my opinion, you're never contesting dragons. You're never strong enough to contest them, at least at this stage of the game. You can kind of hope that it's Chemtech Soul, and it's just like slightly less impactful than other Drakes, and just give all 4. And obviously it doesn't feel good to give Soul. Maybe you can just give the first 3, but if you can slow them down, I mean, you've already at a point now where, you know, we're 16 minutes in, and neither side has taken the second Drake of the game, so still options in terms of Souls here in this one. But the main issue for Mizzou that HU has taken really big advantage of is plain and simply getting these Rift Herald. That's another one picked up. The second one of the game, I believe. They got 2 in game number 1 as well, and they've used these so effectively that it's really tough for Mizzou to really find anything they're looking for.
Yeah, just a very clinical experience here from HU Storm. They know exactly what they want to do. It's almost choreographed how simple they make it look. As they rotate these lanes effectively, they're securing these objectives for themselves exactly when they want them and using their pressure to really balloon their gold lead. Even though it may only be 6K right now, they're very much set up to start cracking some of these inner turrets and really, you know, put Mizzou in their base.
Yeah, most definitely. And you can see that's the plan right now. They brought 4 members down to the bot lane with this Rift Herald. You can see the Syndra going to stop Mr. Ghost Toasties and Inferno 92 from getting anything down there in the mid lane as well. That's another tower falling. This Herald should not be able to hit that inhibitor turret, thankfully. But objective bounties will be coming up soon. You can see the Viego now targeting this dragon. We'll grab the second one of the game for the Storm. We'll have to wait and see what this Soul will be, as it's going to be either Chemtech or Hextech. It's the Hex Gates, which is not one you want to give over if you're Mizzou.
That is a very strong Soul, definitely on a champion like Syndra or a champion like Rumble who can proc that from some nice range. Mizzou looking for something, but feels almost desperate here.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to find any angle they can. Nice traps come down and going to stop the Jinx at the very least, but unfortunately the kill goes over to Inferno 92's Ignite. Just not enough damage on this Jinx. Is now a full item down from this Aphelios. Despite being even in CS, that just shows you like how much of a difference the gold can make. I mean, it's, you know, we don't have the exact numbers pulled up right now, but you got to imagine, I mean, it's a full item ahead, and they're only 6 CS difference and a couple kills, of course, as well. But the Aphelios got like 9 plates, so it's there's so much gold coming in to the AD carry for the Storm. And you kind of mentioned it perfectly. It is a bit of a glass cannon setup where there's a lot of damage to go around, but pretty much everybody on the side of the Storm besides this Rel has got more damage than they might normally.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely accelerated. It's almost unfair to compare these two AD carries together, just how much time HU Storm has spent around this Aphelios, really setting them up while still managing to find leads in their solo lanes and still moving this jungler around, really playing as a connected 5-man unit. And this Aphelios has almost felt like the top laner in this game, you know, just on the side lane collecting these plates. Hasn't really got too much time to show off how much damage those items can really do, but hopefully Mizzou can get just something on that Jinx just before that Aphelios unloads and, you know, can really show his true power. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, they certainly need something. You can tell now on the side of HU that they have complete control over this top side jungle. I want to say Mizzou's got, what, a couple wards down near the Raptor bush, as well as that entrance in as well. Just really not able to find much if there are Mizzou a couple wards down, scattered as well in the opposite sides of the jungle, but just so much of a lead for the Storm now as towers continue to fall. Thankfully, I mean, you're kind of one shining light here so far, even though he is 0-2, is Nick. He's got a decent lead. He's level 13. He's gotten a ton of gold in this side lane as well, just securing waves, hitting towers. There's a chance, you know, if this game goes real long, that our Jinx, I mean, Jinx will scale eventually. Eventually, surely.
Yeah.
The last bastion of hope really being that mid turret still being up, and that Jinx just able to collect that mid wave as it, slowly rolls into her. Really just trying to get ahead off as much CS as possible. And you got to think maybe at some point in this game, you just really have to, sacrifice all possessions to Jinx, give her jungle camps, give her, 2 lanes if you can facilitate it. Really just try to get, one of those last footholds, your Kayle or your Jinx, just as much money as you can, because the timer is ticking. That Baron is about to spawn. Actually, it has spawned.
It's 15 seconds ago, yeah.
HU Storm is definitely looking that direction as they're starting to take the recalls.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully Mizzou is able to encroach a little bit into their own jungle now. I mean, that mid-tier 1 is really doing a lot of work. That mid-tier 1 being up is stopping HU from being able to take as much space as they'd maybe like, at least consistently, because there is that safety net of that mid-tier 1. But neither side going to spot that ward initially, but we'll pick it up now. Drop a control ward in the Baron pit as well, a vision plant to knock away. We know that Kites is here, but he's going to walk on out, and I mean, you can take a look. It's great guns for the Storm's AD carry as well. Green-white is going to absolutely melt this thing, especially on the early 2.5 items. Kites could go for a steal. They're trying to go for the turn instead, but they're just going to find an immediate kill onto Pain Shell and grab that one. So HU now going to pivot away from this Baron. I mean, I liked the idea of the start and then we turn. They got the kill instantly, but everyone dropped aggro. That Baron was like 2k HP. I think it probably could have been finishable, but instead they'll change their focus to this mid-tier 1. Knock that one down with ease. No Barons secured, but now you got to imagine that with only 18 seconds left, first they're going to find the Mizzou jungler as Kites is a little bit aggressive going in with the W onto the Wolf camp. Not sure what the plan was there, but unfortunately will fall. And now with the jungler dead for Mizzou, it'll almost assuredly be soul point, Hextech soul point for the Storm.
Yeah, the Storm just playing so careful there. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They knew they were going to turn the minute Mizzou in. Probably opting to not finish off that Baron because they did not have eyes on Maokai. Did not want to risk that 50-50 flash over and giving it over. Sure. Very comfortable just taking the pick and then converting that into a mid tower, all the bot camps, and unfortunately Mizzou's jungler just throwing them an extra bone in the form of a kill, and then they're just going to, rack up that sitting gold on the map, take the recall, and then probably reset up for a Baron play.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate now for Mizzou. I mean, you said it, Baron is certainly on the menu once more for HU. They already secured the mid-tier 1. They've got themselves to soul point. They've got 4.5 minutes before that next one is up. Let's see, in 4.5 minutes, Nick might be level 16. We'll wait and see. It's certainly a big spike point for him. Level 16, 2 items. Definitely would not hurt. Kid Beats going to look for Kites. A massive stun from the Syndra, and Pain Shell's on a rampage. Cinnamon Mochi's going to try to peel for his team as best as he can. He's just going to dash on out. Inferno 92 will flash out a great buffer from Kid Beats. Kayle ult coming down, some damage coming in, but Maykel is just going to immediately kill Arrogant. And when this Aphelios shows up, he secures the kill. The stun will not come through as Sinto Momochi's going to teleport back onto the base, but now the Baron is certainly going to fall to the hands
of a Jinx rocket?
Storm. Yeah, of the Jinx. True. Miracle Steal. Anything could happen. Ghost Toasties is just going to try to get some damage into this mid-tier 1. He's not going to be able to secure it. Just too much wave clear from this Rumble. As the smite comes in, no steal attempt coming in for the Jinx. However, I mean, Blake is now on 2 items. Nick is, I believe, still level 14. If you can, by some miracle, save... Honestly, how... Okay, we are a little bit later into the game than you would potentially like if the hypothetical situation I'm bringing up now was to be true. Losing 1 inhib doesn't seem horrible for Mizzou to just soak gold. It's a little later for it now. Obviously, like, I think if, had this game been a little bit more rushed, if HU would have gone and like taken a bot inhib at like 18 minutes or something, then that probably would have been favorable to Mizzou for the Jinx and the Kayle. But now you're kind of approaching like that 25-minute mark where an inhib down and then a fight lost could really mean the end of the game, especially with this Baron buff. Mizzou just has to steal gold as best they can. You're going to see Nick will get at least a bounty up here on top tier 1.
Mizzou cannot afford to lose the fight here.
Yeah, no,
they need to find a way to stop the shoving in, or they're just going to steamroll through this base.
Yeah, and this is a pretty decent sized wave as well. I mean, it looks a lot bigger just because of this Baron buff. They're just going to go for the end. The Poppy ult will not find anyone, but both ults find Inferno, and he's nearly one shot on this Poppy. I believe Nick has made it back to base now. He is level 15. Mizzou going to withstand the force so far. These are some great guns, however, for Mikel. He's trying, I think, to go for a double gun swap here as he swaps over to that blue gun. Getting rid of the green here now as well. I mean, this one is... I mean, what can Mizzou do? I mean, besides just play base defense.
Try to catch that fountain, get some heals. Really just trying to stall out their Baron here. They're wasting time, if you think of it from Mizzou's perspective.
That's true.
If they can just keep these towers alive, keep them sitting here, only spending their Baron. All 5 members have decided to group here, so no other waves are pushing. They have no pressure from anywhere else. Just need to keep your team alive. But Jinx burning that flash on the backside from a well-placed Viego stun.
So much damage from the Syndra. Galio ult is forced to be used really defensively. Lots of low health bars, but so much damage coming down onto Arrogant. He's going to keep himself alive with that Kayle ult, but the Mark will get the job done. Pain Shell goes unstoppable. It's another one for the HU mid laner. They're just going to wait for this wave to come on in, as Mizzou's really only 2 options in this game. The 2 damage carries fall immediately as Mikel goes dominating. Rumble was up again. Sento Emochi's looking for something. He's going to flash away, but now it's the second Nexus turret available for them. Inferno 92 is going to try to find something, but all he's going to find is his 7th death of the game. I mean, it's just a rough series overall.
Yeah, Mizzou really just could not find a foothold in these series, could not find a way to progress themselves forward, and with that, Mizzou falls.
Yeah, unfortunate. You know, just game 1 obviously really did not go the way that you were hoping for Mizzou. Getting perfect game is never going to feel good. Game 2 saw some more shimmers of light, but still, I mean, HU just looks like they do exactly what they wanted to do, and they executed it perfectly. Everything that they wanted to achieve, whether that was the comp they played the first game of a lot of dive, or the second comp of just like focusing everything around your Aphelios, they played them both to perfection. Mizzou did not have a response, and so comes the 2-0 series defeat, unfortunately.
Yeah, very clinical, clean play from HU Storm. GG, well played to them for sure. Very smart movement. Whoever shot calling on that roster, really very good job. But yeah, Mizzou unfortunately falling 0-2.
Yeah, unfortunate. You know, not every series is going to be like the one we saw last week of a nice stomp, but I'm sure Mizzou will get back on the rails here very, very soon. That is all from us here tonight on the Mizzou Esports Twitch stream. Thank you very, very much for hanging out with us and stopping by to watch some League of Legends action. We've got more streams coming on next week. I don't believe there'll be any this week, but there might be a couple more potentially. But regardless, there'll be plenty more streams coming throughout this whole semester and in the near future. Graham, thanks once again for joining me here on the desk. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. You're always welcome. That's all from me, Paladino. Thank you once again for joining us. Have a great night.